Chelsea limped away from Baku with a 2-2 draw against Azerbaijan champions Karabakh. Fans and pundits are being quick to point to Enzo Maresca's penchant for rotation and tinkering as the problem in the team. So is Maresca Claudio Ranieri 2.0 the tinkerer reborn, or is the rotation necessary? Welcome, Blue Believers, to another episode of the Stamford Sync, where we are syncing up with everything Chelsea FC. And today, we're going to talk about the rotation thing, man. We're going to talk about the rotation thing. We're going to focus on Enzo Maresca. It's something I don't normally do, to be fair, and definitely at this point, I think it just bears talking about, doesn't it? Because it does feel like more often than not, we've definitely got the players to be winning these games and coming away with the points that we need. But as of right now, like I said before, Enzo Maresca's penchant for tinkering and rotation looks like on the surface level that is what's harming the team. But guys, before we get into it, if you're enjoying the content and would like to see more, please do me the distinct honour of liking and sharing the video, subscribe to the channel, or just roast me in the comments, whatever gets you through your day. Right, so I've done a little bit of a statistical deep dive to try and get an idea of just how much we are rotating. So there was something yesterday in the game, one of the commentators said that Chelsea have made 85 changes to their starting 11 this season, and that is a league high. So instantly, like, that sets off alarm bells, doesn't it? When you hear that, it's like, why are we changing the team so much? Why are we changing the team so much? And the truth is, there's lots of reasons for it, man. Obviously, the first thing that any defenders will point to is injuries, right? Absolutely. The first thing any defenders will point to is injuries. Yes, we have had a lot of injuries this season, and that often does require lots of rotation. The other part of that is we've just got so many players, do you know what I mean? So many young players who will need time and experience. But the other truth about it is it just Enzo Maresca's style? Like Claudio Ranieri, who was posthumously nicknamed the Tinkerer, have we got the same sort of thing in Enzo Maresca? So when posed this question yesterday in the post-match presser after the Karabakh game, Enzo Maresca basically came out and said, no, I think I've talked about this before. I've mentioned it before. We have to make lots of changes because of the Club World Cup. So he is basically still using the Club World Cup as an excuse and ultimately blaming it on injury, saying players can't play 3 matches in 10 days. We have to change. We have to change. We have to change. He has to make these rotations. So there's two things about this. If you've watched my channel before, you'll know that one thing I don't like about Maresca is his inability to take accountability for his own decisions. He's not, you know, it's just he isn't throwing the players under the bus in this respect, which is what I've got the biggest problem is. But again, he's being asked a direct question about something that he does, and he's saying, no, that's not what it is. It's because of this. It's because of this. It's because of this. Blaming it on the Club World Cup, blaming it on the injuries, blaming it on this, that, and the other. But within Maresca's own formations this season, what we're going to get into, there are elements of consistency. Do you know what I mean? So, for instance, there are players, you know, partnerships and players that he has consistently played game after game after game after game, despite there being injury issues with them. So, my first thing before I get into the stats and like the stuff that I've looked into is Maresca's not even being consistent with his own arguments at the end of the day, and that is something that I just don't really think stands up as the manager of Chelsea Football Club. Look, man, if you want to tell people that you're not a tinkerer, like, that's fine, but you got to come up with another reason apart from injuries, because you've already proven several times that actually injuries don't stop you from playing players consistently. So, you know, that's all I've got to say about that. Now let's move on to the stats. So the most important one for me in terms of consistency, and I think this is one of the things that is really letting us down, is centre-back partnerships, right? So, look, it's one of those, isn't it? You know, there's different kinds of teams. Like, we've had teams like the Antonio Conte season where none of our centre-backs that played in that back three were particularly outstanding centre-backs in their own right. But, you know, with the consistency of playing lots of games together and their individual talents like David Luiz, Azpilicueta and Gary Cahill, do you know what I mean? None of them were John Terry or Virgil van Dijk, but together and playing consistently, they all covered each other's things. And they all knew each other really well because they played so many games together. And then, obviously, like I said, you get the others. You get your John Terry, who can have a Carvalho or a Gary Cahill next to him, and you get your Virgil van Dijk, who can have a Konate or a Matip, or, do you know what I mean? It definitely, you know, we don't have that standout centre back to be able to say, okay, so we can have that one consistent centre back, and whoever else plays next to him. You know, the last time we had something like that, for instance, was Thiago Silva. You know, he was the most consistent centre back we had, and everyone that played next to him looked better. We don't have that at the moment, so what we need to rely on is consistency. And with that in particular, this is the reason for me why the Levi Colwill injury has really hurt us. Levi Colwill is not John Terry, Virgil van Dijk level. And maybe he could get there one day, but even at his best, he's not there yet. Absolutely not. But I do think he's an amazing player. He offers something really specific that Maresca really likes to use with the passing. And he played a lot of games last season. Do you know what I mean? He was basically one of the first names on the team sheet for almost every game, and including the Club World Cup as well. Do you know what I mean? Apart from the rotation games, Levi Colwill was a massive, massive, massive part of why our backline looked so good in general. Do you know what I mean? Between Cucurella and Levi Colwill, we had lots of consistency. Malagusto played. Reece James obviously still coming back to fitness last season. So it's not with Colwill, we're not even necessarily missing his ability. We're just missing the fact that Maresca likes him so much that he likes to play him in as many games as possible. So centre-back pairings this season. So I have gone through, we've played 16 games this season now, including the Karabag game. I'm not including pre-season in this, just competitive matches, League Cup, Premier League and Champions League. And we have used, in 16 games, we have used 8 different centre-back pairings. 8 different centre-back pairings. Absolutely mad. Do you know what I mean? It's like literally, it's just changing all of the time. And this is really difficult because there's so much nuance in it here. Like, you can definitely see that it didn't start off that way, and injuries have 100% been part of the reason that we've had so many different centre-back pairings, but it can't be the entire reason. Do you know what I mean? It cannot be the entire reason to have 8 different centre-back pairings. So in the beginning of the season, after the Crystal Palace game, we saw Chalobah and Tosin Adarabioyo play together 4 games in a row. 4 games in a row, one after the other. Go, bang, 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 bang. So it was like, okay, cool, consistency. Neither of them, on their own, the best centre-backs ever, but they both have skills and qualities. Tosin is a good passer, and Trevor Chalobah is a pretty good defender in the grand scheme of things. And just playing with each other all the time means they get to know each other better. They know how to protect and defend each other better. And do you know what I mean? Just consistency is just so important, isn't it? And then after that, it all just fell apart, man. Like, it all just fell apart. So the closest other, I've just got a little list here. So we had Chalobah and Tosin for 4 matches, of which were back-to-back at the beginning of the season. Other than that, the closest we've had is 3, which is Trevor Chalobah and Josh Achiampong, which is not back-to-back, but that's 3 games together. Other than that, we've had Chalobah and Fofana twice, and Hato and Tosin twice, and everyone else has just been one time. Chalobah, Benoit, Badiashile once, Fofana and Tosin once, Josh and Tosin once, Josh and Badiashile once. Do you know what I mean? So we are literally very, very consistently getting these guys to play with each other when they haven't played with each other all season. So actually, I'll take that back a little bit. So if you look at the Premier League, right, Trevor Chalobah has started like 8 of the 9 games that we've played. So Chalobah is being chosen to be that consistent centre-back player. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like, it's not enough. Do you know what I mean? It's absolutely not enough. Like, why is Josh Achiampong not getting game time? If there's something that's happened behind the scenes, we're never going to know about that, man. Like the whole Fikayo Tomori and Frank Lampard situation where he was playing games and then he just disappeared. Josh Achiampong played 2 games, looked really good. He's done really, really good against Liverpool, and all of a sudden he's just missed the last 2 games. But he's been on the bench. So is it an injury thing? Don't know. Doesn't look like it. Do you know what I mean? And there's just an opportunity to, like, okay, you've got Trevor Chalobah is obviously kind of your go-to guy. Josh Achiampong consistently playing well, and you've got an opportunity to give him more minutes, but you're not doing it. I don't know, man. Do you know what I mean? It's like, for me, it is just so crazy. Look, I don't think we're going to win anything this season in terms of, like, I think we could go in a cup run. We could win the League Cup. We could win the FA Cup. Absolutely, we could. I think the Champions League is very unlikely. I think the Premier League is very, very, very unlikely. But at the end of the day, we need to be building consistency, man. It can't just be about putting anyone on who you feel like has the better... even if it is this, even if Maresca is like, oh, well, Badiashile's got better qualities for that game, and Tosin's got better qualities for that game, and Josh has got better qualities for that game, and you're looking at it, but it's like, yeah, but then you're completely removing the intangible, which is the partnership, the development, the comfort level of playing with people over and over again and building up relationships, right? And partnerships and centre-back partnerships are so important, man. So, look, maybe I'm ranting a little bit now, but for me, like, one of our biggest problems this season has been the just sheer amount of centre-back changes that we've had. And I'm going to juxtapose this, right? So Maresca can come out and say, I'm chopping and changing so much because of the Club World Cup and everyone's tired. Right, okay, cool. So in that case, why have you played Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo in 12 of the 16 games starting together? Moises Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez in the starting 11 12 times, and it's probably more than that. What I didn't look into was how many times each one was subbed on when the other started, but just looking at starts, in 16 games, 12 of them, Moises Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez have started together. So, which one is it? And the thing is, as well, if we're talking about injuries, Club World Cup, people being tired, they're not even training every day. Moises Caicedo, I'll mention it again, I say it all the time, missed a week leading up to the Fulham game and he still got played. So which is it? Do you know what I mean? It's like, which one is it, man? It just doesn't make any sense, does it? Is it, oh, everyone's tired because of the Club World Cup, so people can't play all of these games? Or is it, oh, do you know what, though? I can take two players that are on the brink of being injured at any moment because of how much football they've been playing, and I'll start them for 12 games in a row. Or not in a row, but like of the 16. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just a bit like, make it make sense, Maresca. Make it make sense. And yeah, I just think it's crazy, man. I just think it's crazy. And do you know what? Even within the consistency that we have, there are inconsistencies within it as well. So let's talk about Reece James, Malo Gusto, and Cucurella, right? So Cucurella, other than Caicedo, most consistent player in our team, for sure. And generally is the most likely to get a start as well. But the issue with that is it's not that Cucurella's playing. I love Cucurella. He's actually, I would argue, my favourite Chelsea player at the moment. But he's basically playing different positions every game. And I have waxed lyrical about his versatility. And I think that is a great thing that he can be so versatile. But I'm just like, what is his position? And like, is he a centre attacking midfielder? Is he a shadow striker? Is he a byline left back? Is he a left wing back? Is he a left centre back? Is he a... Do you know what I mean? Like, which is it? And when you're changing everything else, and you got to bear in mind, it's like, yes, okay, Cucurella's on the field all the time, but when you're changing your centre back pairings all the time, and you don't know if it's going to be Reece James or Malo Gusto on the right-hand side as well. Do you know what I mean? It's like going from game to game, you're changing all these things, these little tinkery moments, and it's very much the same with Malo Gusto as well. Malo Gusto... I quite like Malo Gusto, and I've been introspective about the Malo Gusto situation, and I realised that any hate towards Malo Gusto isn't really directed at Malo Gusto, it's directed at how he's being used. Don't get me wrong, you can have a bad game, yeah, of course you can, but much like Cucurella, and he's obviously not as good as Cucurella, Malo Gusto, because of his physical attributes, is being asked to play a different position almost every single game. Do you know what I mean? Same with Reece James to an extent, not quite as much. I would argue that for the most part, Reece James has played the right centre-back role or the midfield role. Do you know what I mean? And he's kind of just switching between those two. But again, if you're one centre-back pairing and Reece James is in midfield, and then you're another centre-back pairing and Reece James is at right-back, and then you're another centre-back pairing and Malo Gusto's at right-back or in midfield all at the same time, it's like, I'm not surprised that this very young team is struggling for cohesion when all of these changes are being made. Do you know what I mean? And like I say, it's a difficult conversation because I do applaud versatility. I absolutely applaud versatility. And I think the likes of Malo Gusto and Cucurella are very important players and very modern players. Do you know what I mean? I think being able to change your position at the drop of a hat, especially in Cucurella's case, and play it so well. Like last season, not only did Cucurella play all of these different positions, he also scored 7 goals. Do you know what I mean? Getting into the box and crashing, getting headers and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely unbelievable performance from him. So yes, I do think that, being versatile is a really, really good and useful skill, and I like having versatile players on the team, but when it's versatility at the expense of consistency, like if the grand plan, for instance, and we're all, what is the grand plan? Who knows? But if the grand plan is to not have starting 11s and have teams chock full of players that can chop and change at any moment, like that is so different to how football has been for time immemorial, for all of the changes that there's been in football. The one thing that has always kind of consistently been is winning teams have consistency in their starting 11s. They have leaders, they have people that know their roles and people that can depth for them. Do you know what I mean? So I do find that a bit wild if the idea in itself is that we're trying to build this team full of versatile players that can play any position. And what we're just starting to see is after a few years of this now, it's just not really working, is it? It's not really working. Don't get me wrong, Karabag were good yesterday, and they absolutely deserve their flowers for making the game really, really, really difficult for us. But we should have won that game with the players that we had on the pitch and had on our bench. But again, the rotation, man, like there's more as well. Do you know what I mean? I'm worried about the video getting too long. I could talk about this forever. But even like the left wing situation at the moment, do you know what I mean? It's like the left wing is changing like every game. And it's a battle between the two of them to figure out who's the best one and for them to get in front. I know, but how it's so difficult for them to get consistency if they're not getting games. This is one of the issues with the project, right? Buying lots of young players to battle for positions. Whilst they're battling for positions, there's going to be inconsistency and it will affect the team. So if we had a really, really settled team with a centre-back pairing that was starting most games, and it was always Reece James and Cucurella, and it was always Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez, and Cole Palmer's playing all the games, and all this, that, and the other, and then all you're thinking about is, right, is it Neto or Esteval, or is it Garnacho or Jamie Gittins? Yeah, cool, because you've got all this solid foundation built behind them for them, for them to be like, okay, we can deal with a little bit of inconsistency to give these guys a go because we know that we've got all this other stuff going on. But when stuff is changing all the time, and you're putting Garnacho on and you're saying, right, you've got to take the game by the scruff of the neck today, which he did yesterday. Fair play, Garnacho. Great goal. Really, really enjoyed it. That's going to be difficult as well. And then there's the other thing, man. Like I say, going back to the, not only does he play Moises Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez game after game after game after game after game, he also plays João Pedro game after game after game after game after game after game. And yes, that's some consistency, which is a good thing. But Maresca's argument is that, we're rotating a lot because players aren't feeling good and they're injured and the Club World Cup was too much for them. It's like, well, why'd you keep putting João Pedro on then? Why don't you give Buonanotte more of a chance? Why didn't Buonanotte start the game yesterday? I actually think he looked better than João Pedro when he came on, to be fair. Like yes, of course, João Pedro is better than Buonanotte. And João Pedro's not exactly been performing either, is he? Like 10 games without a goal or an assist at the end of the day. It's like, make it make sense, man. Make it make sense. I don't know. I just think Maresca's starting to wear on me a little bit now, just a little bit. I'm pretty resilient to the whole get him out thing. Do you know what I mean? In general, with managers, like I say, the only manager I can think of in recent history that I've really wanted to see go was Graham Potter. And that it was just awful. It was absolutely atrocious. So I 100% think I want to back the manager. And with Enzo Maresca, he's a young manager and he needs to, obviously develop and stuff in his own self. But for me, a lot of those developing things he needs to do, like he's a good tactician already. We've seen that in some of the massive games that he's won. But for me, it's like, take accountability for some of the issues that you're taking. And you don't have to come out and say that it's all your fault, but just stop like putting it all on all these other things that obviously aren't the case. Do you know what I mean? So, for instance, for me, you can't come out one moment being like, I'm rotating players because the Club World Cup, and then in the same breath, but I'm going to play João Pedro for 10 games in a row when he doesn't score. He's absolutely knackered and on the verge of injury. I'm going to play Moises Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez together 12 games out of the 16, and when I'm chopping and changing my centre-back pairing every other moment. Do you know what I mean? It just doesn't make any sense. So maybe a bit of a ranty one today. At the end of the day, like as far as the actual Champions League goes, it's not the end of the world. I think it's really pertinent to take a look at PSG last season. They did not do particularly well in the group stages and they come out and won the thing. Now, I'm not even saying that we can win the thing, but we can finish in the top 16 and still go on and have a good Champions League run. Do you know what I mean? This result in itself isn't really the issue in terms of our season. It's more just about what it's highlighting in terms of the team in general. So that's it, guys. I'm going to start wrapping the video up there. We've got Wolves on Saturday at 8 o'clock. I think we're doing a live stream preview on the Blue Lounge, and we'll be back on the Sunday night for the Blue Lounge to talk about the game in general. And my match preview will be out tomorrow. But guys, if you're ever chilling out and you want to hear some more Stamford Sync, then check out this video here, which is my match reaction to the Karabag draw yesterday in the Champions League. Nice one, guys. I hope you all have an absolutely wicked day, and I'll catch up with you very, very soon. Take it easy. Peace.